Yo, hey guys, it's me, Anchor64 again for another video. Um, Last time I talked about general like parsing guide, warrior DPS, how to improve your DPS and so on. And what I want to talk about in this guide is actually like using simulation. I talked about it a lot, mentioned it a lot. I think in one of my first warrior videos I also mentioned that, but I didn't really gave an like big overview how the simulation, like the sim tool actually works. So that's what I'm going to try in this video. As you can see, first of all, yeah, this is pretty much a simulation you can see on the screen, which we are using as DPS warriors. So this will be mostly focused on DPS warriors again. Sorry for other classes, but I would need to do more research actually to have more knowledge about the other classes, but I will probably do that and do some look into other classes as well. Probably the next one would be Rogue and maybe also like Tank Warrior. Yeah. However, like one thing I need to mention, this one is, as I said, mostly focused for DPS warriors. If you play another class, you should definitely look into your class discords and see which simulation is recommended. It's probably listed in there. I think like for rogues, like the discord or kind of the person, you should look into like Simonized shows. He has also a Discord channel, and there's a lot of valuable information on there. Yeah, because there are a lot of different simulations, and not everyone is really like the correct one or the most accurate one. For example, we have another one, which is called WoW Sims, and we can even go into Classic, and yeah, even look up Warrior. However, the reason why we aren't using this one is it hasn't been updated in a very long time, and it's not really yeah, as accurate as the one we are using, the one I am using right here. So even though this one looks cleaner, it's easier to use, we don't really use this one. So yeah, I would highly recommend if you play another class, definitely look up which simulation you should use. That would be definitely like the best way to do it. So yeah, let's actually get to the tool. So this simulation was made by Guybrush, or is made by Guybrush, and it pretty much looks like this. So I will go over everything pretty much. So let's actually start. As always, if you like these kinds of videos, feel free to like and subscribe, the usual stuff. Whatever, you get my point. And yeah. So right now what we have is we have on the left our information about our characters. I will get to that in a second. How we can influence that and change that. So for me, it's a human warrior level 60, also the one I'm playing right now, of course. And then we have a lot of different data. We have our attack power, strength, agility, everything. Most importantly, of course, we have our hit and our weapon skill, which is even more important. So I'm rocking 309 weapon skill, and yeah. We have some other information, crit cap. However, this one is not completely accurate. It is missing the crit suppression we have on raid bosses, so we actually need some additional crit on here. So yeah, I think we need to add like 5% like additional crit to actually have it be accurate. Then we have our damage, haste, and also our sets we are using. So yeah, I have two sets right here. So that's all about that. On the bottom we have some options we can choose. I will go over each one, but just to mention them, we can choose some different stuff. And yeah, most importantly, what I would recommend everyone to do, first of all, is just pretty much copy your gear one-to-one into here. How you can do that is I always do it manually. So I select each slot on the top. So we have main hand, offhand, a two hand if you are using that, like a gun, bow, and so on, and like everything else. And if you click a slot, you can choose with what you want to replace it. So right now I have Brutality Blade selected. I could click on Whiskag and you will see like the icon and so on changes. And like I selected Whiskag right now. So that's how you switch up your gear and swap up your gear. Another thing is this one is pretty much the gear I am using right now. So I already did that. I already pretty much copied my gear into here. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Another thing, also, of course, we want to add enchants and like additional stuff like sharpening stones. So where we can actually do that is if we actually, like, for example, we select our main hand, we need to scroll down and then we can do that. So yeah, that's what we can do, but where we can actually view it. This took me actually a really long time to find. So when I first started using this one, I didn't really know where I can actually find the enchants and so on. But yeah, you just need to scroll down. And that's where you can select your sharpening stones and where you can select your weapon enchants. So yeah, I have elemental sharpening stone and crusader. So that's what I'm mostly using. What I am mostly using, yeah. For the other stuff is pretty much the same. Like every piece we can enchant, we can just select the enchants here, and pretty much every enchant is in the game. If you can't find a certain piece you are using, like not everything is on here. For example, I used an like random pretty much bow with some agility on it, which wasn't here. But then my recommendation would be just find something that is really similar to this one, to that one, like just with the same stats and so on. So yeah. Okay, we talked about how we can actually select our gear. We talked about this. Let's actually do some settings after that. So yeah, just using our gear is not enough. We actually need to set up the sim correctly, and this will be the most important step actually. So what we can do is we can go to the settings, and then this one will open, and we can actually change a lot of stuff. So yeah. First of all, let's talk about the settings. So I will pretty much disable everything else. So we can just talk about the settings first of all. We have some settings that are pretty much like built in and you should just let it be. So don't change anything. But some settings we actually need to change. That is really important. So first of all, we have level and target level. Make sure if you are simming endgame stuff that it is set to level 60. And also the target level is set to 63. If you don't know why, basically when we are fighting a raid boss or raid enemy or like a skull-like enemy, they are 3 levels higher than us. Season of Discovery had some changes when you did like the level up raids. They were 2 level higher than us. But yeah, that's a really important difference. So a lot of things are affected by that. So yeah, that's really important that we set it up correctly. So the target level should be 63, level should be 60. If you are lower level and still want to do simulations, maybe you are twinking or something, you can try to do some stuff here, but I personally don't really know how accurate that data is when you are lower level. So yeah, feel free to try though. Next one is really important, also like one of the most important ones is which race we are playing. So right now I'm playing human. So yeah, that's what I did. I will get to why this is important a bit later, but yeah, pretty much you want to select your race. You can also check which race you have by looking at the background right here. You can see like I have the Lordaeron crest. If I pick another race, it will pretty much change. For example, this one would be like for dwarves, like night elves looks like this, or orcs, like Ogremon banner. So you can also check that, and you can also see on the top it will also change. So yeah, definitely make sure you select the right race. I always see people like doing simulations and they have the wrong race, and yeah, especially when you have weapon skills and so on, that is pretty important. Next one, you have simulations. Simulations. I actually forgot what the starting like value is. I think it's like 10,000. Which is probably pretty good. I set it up to 50,000. You can do even more. As you probably know, if you do more simulations, your data will be more accurate. However, there are like diminishing returns, of course. And it just also depends on how powerful your PC is. So you might not think about it, but it's actually kind of performance heavy to do these simulations. So I set it up to 50,000. If you do, like if you, maybe your PC or so isn't so strong and you don't really want everything to lag or something, set it up lower. So yeah. But yeah, like you can even use like something like 10,000, is also okay. Fight duration is another thing which is really important, and I think I actually set it up wrongly. So yeah, I have fight duration max 15, fight duration min 30. Yeah, that's pretty much incorrect. I should do it like the opposite way. Whatever. Actually, let me change it. Let me put it to 30 and then just 60. So what this means is how long does the fight take in seconds. So that would be the minimum amount, like 30 seconds would be the fastest we would have, and the fight duration maximum would be like the highest we would have. Then it would check like pretty much do like some averages, and you have that. And as you know, fight duration is really important for DPS. So as you can see, let me just try it. So I have like 1550 DPS. Let's halve it. So let me actually do this to 30 and this one to 15. And now my DPS is like 100 more. So you will see, if you lower your kill timers, it will be a lot different. My recommendation is look at your logs, look at maybe your guild. If you are in a guild, look at your kill timers, and yeah, try to pretty much work on that. Look at how long your kill timers are, and just try to make add some values which are like similar to like your guild kill timers and so on. So you have that. Oh, okay, this one is 40. So now I know, hey, some stuff is wrong here. Yeah, that's why you also always should actually check your settings. So as you saw, execute phase percentage is of course not 40%, it is 20. So yeah, that's another thing you should definitely leave it like it is. So yeah, because we can't use execute above 20 rage. We are not in SOD with like other tenants maybe or something, but for some experimentation you could change it, whatever. Initial rage, I keep it at 0. It's just way too inconsistent. Unless you have like, what's that trinket called? You can get in ZG where you can get like 30 rage, I think. Maybe if you're using that to pre-rage or maybe use something else, you can also set it up. But they are not really important. Target magic resistance, I let it be. Target base armor is actually really important. So let me actually do like a simulation. So it is on warrior boss right now, so 370, 31 armor. Let me change it to paladin boss. So now I do way more DPS. So this is really important. Most bosses we are fighting are warrior bosses. So I would just let it be like this, and that would just work for most bosses. However, some bosses have like some different armor values. There's like some documentation about that. Actually, let me look it up. Vanilla raid boss armor values. Yeah, it says 3700 armor. Yeah, there are some lower armor. Is there no list? Not a list? Yeah, here for example on Reddit, like Lucifron or so on. So some bosses have lower armor values, and if you want to sim that, you can actually try to do that. So yeah. Oh, Sulfuron has even a lot higher armor, so it's interesting. Of course, if bosses have more armor, they have more physical damage reduction, and you will do less DPS, and if they have less armor, you will do more DPS. It's pretty simple. The other stuff is not really important for us. Yeah, you can do some other stuff. Spell batching is also really interesting. When Classic launched in 2019, we had a batch window of 400 milliseconds. That affects a lot of stuff, especially things like Hand of Justice, like the trinket. So yeah, if you want to simulate that, you can change it here. On Classic Anniversary, we have a 10 millisecond batch window. So yeah, they pretty much changed it. That's also why Hand of Justice is such a strong trinket. Yeah, there are a lot of stuff that is pretty much affecting that. I personally don't know if Classic Era has 400 milliseconds right now, or maybe they changed that in the middle of when they did like a Classic Era, because I didn't really play it. So yeah, I don't know really, but I would just keep it at 10. Yeah, this other stuff, the rest I would just let it stay as it is, don't really change it, and you are good. So okay. Actually, next one we want to discuss are buffs. So buffs, of course, are really important for us, and you want to select buffs. You want to select these buffs that you are also actually using, or you can also look at a certain way if you want to test out if certain buffs would give you damage increase or something like that. So we have a lot of different buffs. These kinda depend on how your group composition is. For me, for example, I play on an alliance. I play on alliance. I am a human, so I have things like kings and might, of course. If you are playing horde, of course you want to select wind fury totem or strength of earth totem. If you are in a wind fury group, like if you have a shaman. Also, some other stuff is more flimsy to get, like for example, leader of the pack. You won't always have a feral druid in your group, or you won't always have a hunter in your group with true shot aura. So yeah, maybe it would make more sense to actually deselect these. Okay, if you just want to have more consistent actually damage numbers. Consumables. Consumables, of course, also a really important thing. We want to select what we are using as well. I selected pretty much the best ones you can actually get. For example, like Roids, Mongoose, Juju Power, Juju Mic'd, and Smoked Desert Dumplings. You can also see, because the simulation tool is pretty well made, so if you select, for example, this one, you will see like this one is automatically grayed out, so you know, okay, I only can have one of these. As simple, same thing as with Mongoose and Great Agility. Really select these consumables that you are actually using. There's not really much else to be said, to be honest. World buffs are another thing. Of course, select these world buffs you are actually always having. These are pretty much all the world buffs I can get. Like, Dark Moon Fair is like the most inconsistent one because you only can get it like once in a month or something like that. So maybe for like 1 or 2 resets. So yeah, I don't include it here, but for example, Rent, I always try to get Rent, which is really annoying for Alliance, but I have some guildies actually helping me with that. So yeah, that's actually really nice. If you can't get it as an Alliance, just leave it out. But yeah, you can also see what's really nice actually, and that was really important in my Warrior video. For example, when I said like world buffs are way more important than gear. So actually let's have for example, like just an example for that. So first of all, I'm just using the simulation, so 1568 DPS. Let me disable the Dragon Slayer. Let's see how much DPS I do. Yeah. As you can see, like 90 DPS less. And now let's do the same. But I will change some gear. So maybe I will... Let me actually put on Onslaught Girdle and do the same thing. So how much damage increase would that one be? Like 20 DPS increase. Oh, actually I need to do it like this. Yeah. Like 20 DPS increase. So Onslaught Girdle is best in slot for the whole expansion, whole of vanilla. But still, it is way less of a damage increase than we would be using world buffs. So what I want to say by what I want to be saying by that is really try to get your world buffs. It's really important. If you want to do any meaningful DPS, definitely try to get your world buffs. Other consumables we have are these ones. These are kind of like not really your main consumables. They would add some damage, but not really much. For example, we have like Bockling Roots, which I could like add, which gives me like 1 more DPS, 1 or 2 more DPS. I could do that, but yeah. You could add Gift of Arthas, which is actually really nice if your tank are using that one. That could be a really nice thing you should add here. Dragon Breath Chili is another one which is pretty minor, but pretty nice AoE damage. We have... yeah, these ones are also really broken, but they are time limited. You can only get them from events, so you can't really add these all the time. Unless you have them stocked up, then definitely add these. Yeah, we have some other stuff. We have even chickens. And yeah, that's pretty much what it is here. Next one, you have target's armor. So this one is also really important, that you are pretty much doing it in a way where you know what your guild is pretty much doing. That's why I always recommend checking the logs of your guild, like logging and seeing, okay, are we using things like Fairy Fire, or are we using Curse of Recklessness and things like that, if you want to do, want to pretty much implement it into your simulation. I just included both of them. I actually don't know if my guild is kind of slacking and not really have a lot of uptime on these, but yeah, who knows. Another thing you can change, if you have a rogue that is a really good person and they are applying exposed armor, like improved exposed armor, definitely add this here, because improved exposed armor is a really strong damage increase. So as you can see, let me do like a normal sim. This would be my normal DPS. And let me change it to this one. And as you can see, it's way more DPS. So if you have a really nice rogue and that is applying that, definitely try to change it here. You can see like the current armor of the boss would be 363. However, if you are using improved exposed armor, it's almost 0. So that's actually really insane. But yeah, definitely try to do that. Default stance, we are using Berserker stance. And now we have something which is kind of interesting. We have skill specialization. So right now I am human, so I could do this sword specialization and mace specialization, but I don't need to. The simulation automatically knows, okay, humans have sword and mace specialization, so it isn't really needed. But if you want to experiment a bit, you can try to add these as well. You can see like my skill isn't changing here, so you know it's not really applied, so it's like it's already applied. But let's say you play in dwarf, of course, like my weapon skill would change, and but I could, yeah, I could add this, and you can see, okay, my weapon skill is changing here. Like maybe you want to experiment with some weapon skill shenanigans. You have even other stuff like fist weapon specialization, pole weapon, and so on. But yeah, you can try to do some stuff here. But I don't really need it to use it because I'm human. Okay, next one we have, so I talked about settings, I talked about buffs. Let me actually talk about rotations now. So you can set up your rotation. I mostly have the standard one, so there's not really a lot of changes. You can click on your abilities and see how they are pretty much implemented in the simulation. So this would be what the simulation is using, what kind of rotation. You can change it as well, but this is pretty much like the normal standard one. I have Heroic Strike, of course, enabled. You can actually see how it works. Like, let me disable Heroic Strike, and you see I will do a lot less DPS. Like 200 DPS. So yeah, we definitely want to use Heroic Strike. But you can play around with these numbers. For example, it says Q when above 40 rage. But I could do like 30 rage. And yeah, this is small, like DPS increase even. Yeah, you can try it. This is really important if you kind of want to see if I could, like, what rotation should I use and how rotation changes can affect your DPS. So yeah, Thunder Armor is something I also have enabled because I want to use it on the first global. So I will always try to use like one Thunder Armor just to get them on the boss really quickly. Because if you have multiple warriors and everyone is doing that, you will have instant Thunder Armor, which is really important. Execute, of course, enabled. You can do some other changes, of course, as well. Maybe say it only should use execute when above 50 rage, but I don't recommend it, it's not worth it. Whirlwind as well, like Bloodthirst. You can do some changes, play around with it. I would just keep it as it is. Have the like normal stuff enabled. If you are asking what the priority is, this one is pretty much the higher the number is, it is first on our priority. So, like for example, Thunder Armor is like priority 6. However, it is only used on first global, so it would be used first. Execute is like on a priority 8. However, you can only use it on the execute phase. And then we have things like Whirlwind and Bloodthirst, which are on priority 9 and 7 respectively. And you can see on execute phase they are not used. So that's also really important. If you have it enabled, what will happen is, because this one has priority 9, it will be over execute. So it will use over execute, which you don't really want. So yeah, definitely try to do that. But I think these settings are kind of like explain themselves. So yeah, buffs, of course, we have battle shout enabled, blood rage, use 0 seconds from the start of the fight. I didn't enable recklessness because recklessness has like a 30-minute cooldown, and yeah, it's kind of inconsistent. You can't have it for every boss. Another thing I am enabling, of course, is Death Wish. That's also really important. Also, oh okay, no, whatever. I was asking where my diamond flash is, but it's down here. Yeah, Death Wish is, you can enable it like use 1 second from the start of the fight or use 31 seconds from the end of the fight. It really depends how long your boss fights are. Right now I have it really short, like set up really short, so probably this one would be the better option actually, because this one doesn't really make sense, because the fight is 30 seconds long at the maximum. So yeah, yeah, this one I would use at the start, and we have the same thing with this one. So I should probably use it at 0 seconds. You can see like maybe if I change it, I will actually get more DPS. No, it's pretty much the same. Interesting. Yeah, I think because because the fight is so short anyway, doesn't really matter. Next one, you have Diamond Flash, same thing. Use 60 seconds from the end of the fight. Yeah, pretty much what you want to do as a warrior, which I also said in my warrior guide, is you want to stack as many buffs as possible, especially when you are in execute phase, because that's where most of our damage comes from. Okay, good. These were the settings. We have some other stuff I want to go briefly about. So first of all, we have our talents at the bottom. You can play around with these. This is pretty much the normal Fury Warrior talent setup that you would see on everyone, kind of. So yeah, that's pretty much the normal one. There are some slight variations. For example, if you use like an overpower spec, which can be a thing. But yeah, I would try to keep it mostly like this. I think if you are using the simulation like for the first time, I think it probably even has like this spec, if I'm not wrong. Next one, we have the gear filter, which can be really useful as well. Right now everything is selected. However, some stuff is not really available to us right now. For example, like next rammers and AQ stuff, which isn't out yet. So you could actually disable these ones, and you would have like less items actually you need to select from. So yeah, but I just keep it like this. Also like resistance gear and other, you can enable, disable that, whatever. Good. So we have that. One thing is, if you don't really know how to go back to the like where you can actually select your gear and such, you can press on that X button right on the top, or you can press on settings again, and you will be back here. Next one I want to talk about is profiles. So I have a lot of profiles, but they are kind of the same all. When you are starting, you will pretty much have like one profile, but you can make new ones if you just press add profile. Or you can also import profiles. If someone gives you one, you can actually import these. That's also something you can do. And you can switch around these, so you can actually click on here, then I have my other profile. Or I can click on here, then I have my other profile again. But yeah, having multiple profiles can be useful, especially if you have multiple characters. So yeah, then you definitely want to have multiple profiles. But yeah, really depends what you want to do. Okay, good. Let's actually get to start doing our simulations. So I did it kind of a lot actually already in this video when I clicked on DPS. But yeah, if we want to sim, like we want to see how much DPS our gear and so on will do with these settings, we just press on DPS. That's it. Then we will see our really nice green number. And also what we will see is how long it took to actually simulate everything, and we will see what was the minimum, like minimum DPS, what was the maximum DPS, and it will kind of give us an average. If you want to have more in-depth information, we can go into stats, and this one will open. So we have like a lot of graphs and so on, and we can see, okay, our DPS spread. We can see how much damage our different abilities did, like Heroic Strike did the most damage. And we can see, what else can we see? Yeah, we can see if any, this one is really useful, fight details. You can actually see if stuff and so on missed and how many glancing hits you had and so on. So yeah, that's also really useful. So, what we have else? Let me look at it. Yeah, we can see if anything missed. As you can see, for example, Heroic Strike and so on, like our abilities didn't miss. That's really important. For example, let me actually... Now I need to see which gear has actually some hit rating. I think these boots have. So let me switch these. And let me go to stats again. And you will see that some of my abilities actually missed. As you can see here. So yeah, you can see that way you can see that's pretty accurate. Because I have 5% hit. And that's why some of my stuff is missing. So now I need to find these boots again. Yeah, okay, good. So that's that. Again, if we want to pretty much, again, we can just click on the X if we want to remove these windows and want to go to the base one, or click on here again, then it will go away pretty much. So yeah, let's go to the other stuff we also can simulate, which can be useful. So one other thing we have is, for example, we have stat weights. So if we click on this will take a bit longer, but then we can see which stats would give us some other benefits, like would give us the most DPS. Right now I can see, okay, like crit chance would give me the most DPS right now, which is really interesting. This heavily depends on your settings, on your gear. So if you change things around, this will pretty much change. So yeah, definitely try to do some stuff. I could maybe change my gear a bit. So instead of Blackstone ring, let me actually use another ring I have. So this would be like some like real life simulations, like some real life testing I would do. So yeah, I would use this ring maybe, and I would use Onyxia Tooth Pendant. So now let's try it again. I do a bit more DPS. And did this go down or not? I think it went down, if I remember right. So yeah, that's how you can actually try it. You can actually do those stat weights. You can see like I would get a lot of benefit of with strength as well. And yeah, crit chance is really important and so on. So yeah. But a lot of things are affected by this. Also, the simulation is not the most accurate one. There are some stuff which is not really working correctly, I think. For example, this one, Juju Flurry, which decreases our attack power a bit. It's not really accounted here. So I could use it, which would give me some damage increase. But I think it doesn't work correctly yet. I could be wrong. Like, yeah, not everything is really clear about it. It's kind of complicated. Whatever. So this should be mostly accurate, however. Next one we have is... Oh, do I want to do this here? Yeah, probably. I think it would be the best. So, you saw when I did the simulation, I pretty much swapped out my ring. What is if you want to compare to everything on this list? So let's say you want to compare it with every ring you have. What you can do is you can just press Sheet DPS. And this will take a lot longer. As you can see, you have like this loading bar. This will pretty much compare what you have right now, like your ring, with every other slot. And you would see how much of an DPS increase the different gear would actually be. So right now, yeah, this one, I can't really get that one. But yeah, Quick Strike ring, for example, would be in DPS increase, and you can actually see it, like you have the green plus numbers and the red minus numbers. So yeah, that's a thing you can use. Definitely one thing you can try out. But yeah, if you want to do it with swords, it will take a very long time. That's maybe why it's useful if you actually deselect some stuff on the here on the gear filter, if you want to do sheet DPS. That can be really useful. Then you can actually see, okay, what would give me an upgrade. However, the thing is, in classic, our gear, like we need to play with a lot of different like stats. How would I say it? Like stat caps, like you hit cap, your weapon skill, your crit cap, and so on. So it can be kind of bit difficult to actually use this one correctly. I don't really use it a lot, but yeah. Next one you have like user manual, so if you have any, you can even read some stuff up on here. I don't think I did really use it, but it also has some other stuff. It's probably a bit outdated, I don't really know actually, but yeah. And then we have of course GitHub as well, so you can read through that. And you can see it's made by Guybrush on Golem. I think that's a vanilla server. We could also switch it to around to Season of Discovery, but why would I do that? And yeah, that's pretty much most of it. Now I would go into some stuff which probably makes sense to sim, especially coming to like AQ40. I would try to actually simulate some, for example, resistance gear, which could be really useful. So you can actually try that one out. So yeah, that is really nice. The thing is, you have like a huge amount of gear you can actually select, and you can play around it, and you will see immediately see your stats. So of course, not everything is included here. For that one, if you want to have like everything, I would suggest using things like 60 upgrades and so on. But there we can't really test our DPS. So yeah. Another thing, like my outro, I would say, why do we even use this? So why do I talk about this at the end? But yeah, why do we even use simulations? I think it's kind of fun to do some data. The thing is, if things are really simple in the game, so actually like right now with the mechanics and so on, we don't really have a lot to do. It can be like you tend to automatically try to optimize things, and then it becomes kind of fun to actually see like how much DPS and so on you can actually do and things like that. Also, this tool is really useful if you want to see like if a certain item would actually be a huge upgrade for you or not, or it would be maybe better upgrade for other classes. This can be really useful for guilds if you want to organize your gear efficiently and actually be fair to everyone, so you would actually give the gear to the people who would benefit the most from it. Yeah, or just give it to warriors, why not? But yeah, that would be a thing you can definitely use this simulation for. Of course, this one's only for warriors, but if you use multiple other simulations and you have multiple other people who know their stuff about classes, that can be really nice. Also, what you can use this for, if you are just a normal raider in a guild or something, you can use this data and say, yeah, I simmed this and this item, and that would give me such and such a DPS increase. And yeah, this can be also really useful. Then you have some, yeah, some examples and actually some real data. So that's pretty much one thing I would say about that. Okay. However, I think that's it. I don't think I have anything else to say, if I remember right. No, I don't think I have. So if you have any other questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, if you want to say anything else as well, feel free to comment. I kind of made this video on a whim because I remembered, okay, I actually wanted to do a simulation tutorial, but I forgot about it. So yeah, definitely if you have anything to say, or maybe I forgot something, feel free, I will comment it. I will also try to make some timestamps in this video as well, so I can skip around some stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. As always, I wish you a good day, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I will see you on the next video. Goodbye.